Okay, ladies and gentlemen, tonight we have a very special guest with us. You see, we're going into the Olympics, and Trinidad and Tobago football team just returned from the Gold Cup. We have with us none other than the head of press and the head of media for the national team. He has also been one of the media persons for the World Cup, I believe. We have none other than Mr. Sean Fuentes. Sir, how are you today?
Good, thanks for having me. How's everything with you guys?
You know, we fight in a good fight just like how you fight in a good fight. There's a fight here and there every day.
Yeah, I agree with you. And you all are doing a good job and trying to keep the country abreast of what is happening, current events and everything. So yeah, keep doing it. That's what we're about, right?
Indeed. Well, you are a little bit better than me. You're a little bit more versed than me. So just give us a little background history on you, because I see you have an extensive bio there. So like you could just give us a little thing about what you just do, so people would know exactly who is this gentleman we're talking to.
All right. Well, I've been around the media aspect of things with local football for quite some time. Actually, this year is going to make it 21 years. I've been press officer for the men's national team. I started at a pretty young age. I worked as a freelance football correspondent with the Guardian newspaper between 97 and 2000. And then in 2000, during the qualification for World Cup 2002, which would have been hosted by Japan, Korea, I was appointed as press officer for our national team. So I sort of came through the ranks from way back then, and I've not looked back since. I've persisted over the years. Of course, you know, we've been through a lot of highs as well as a lot of lows in local football, a lot of difficult trying periods in football and sport in general in Trinidad and Tobago. And since then, I've not looked back. So I've worked as press officer for our national team, head of communications for the FA, and also I've branched off into working as a media operations officer for CONCACAF and FIFA, working at different events around the world.
Wow. So Sean, you out there. When it comes to sports and media in the Caribbean,
I would like to term it sports communications, which you know is a little bit different to general communications, corporate communications involved in there as well. But sport communications is a whole different aspect. It's a whole different ball game. And I've been very fortunate to have opportunities over the years to go out there and to experience what this is and to serve the country. For me, the most important thing is about serving and being able to give back to some extent, because football has allowed me to really experience different cultures, different aspects of what we're about and the world at large.
Yeah. And then, well, of course, the paycheck is great.
Well, in there, because I mean, a lot of people tend to believe that it's a lot of glitz and glamour when you work in sports, and we know that in Trinidad and Tobago, in particular working in Trinidad and Tobago, it's not all about that, because as a matter of fact, right now, you know the difficulties that the Trinidad and Tobago FA they are going through with the mobilization committee and the suspension. So it's not all about the paycheck at the end of the day. Of course, we strive to live a comfortable life and to, you know, it's about what we do, is loving what we do and being passionate about what we do. But at the same time, it's also about fixing everything that is involved in terms of ensuring that our athletes and our officials are comfortable. But that is a work in progress. So, you know, that continues.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the team. We recently got an acting coach. What's his spirit like on the team with the new coach?
It's been fantastic. I have to say, hats off to Angus and his staff. I mean, I've been through several staffs over the years within our national team setup. And what we experienced here over the last month or so, I think was a much needed bit of resurgence in our football, especially our flagship team, which is a national men's team, because we were coming off a very difficult phase. I mean, we look back at the 2018 World Cup campaign, which we failed to qualify, even though we got into the final round. But more so, this 2022 campaign came crashing for us. In the preliminary phase, we did not get into the final phase because of that draw away to Bahamas. And that really put it was a bit of a nosedive for us. And it was important that we started to take the right steps to sort of begin that resurgence. And when Angus entered the fray as coach and the squad that he selected, I mean, we were faced with a really difficult situation because we were going into the Gold Cup qualifying prelims in Miami We had 2 matches on the cards against Montserrat and also French Guyana. But we needed to win both games. So it was a situation where you had a new coaching staff coming into the fray, a new coach, a new man in charge, basically a different squad with some of the more experienced players still involved. And one defeat could have ended that campaign. So can you imagine preparing for this and trying to look at the long haul, which could have been ended with one defeat. So that win over Montserrat and then the penalty kicks victory over French Guyana was so vital. I don't think people have really grasped as yet, or still haven't grasped how important that was. And then, of course, qualifying for CONCACAF Gold Cup, which was the ultimate ambition at the end of the day, and we were able to achieve that. What took place at the Gold Cup, of course, we would have loved to progress beyond the group stage. But I think generally when you look at things, it was relatively a good showing, and it augurs well for what we now have to look ahead to for the rest of 2021 into 2022 and really the 2026 World Cup qualifying campaign.
Okay, so seeing that we're not in the Gold Cup anymore, what is the new direction for the team? Like what are the plans moving forward?
Well, definitely now that we're back home, we arrived back home about 4 or 5 days ago following that last game against Guatemala. There will be a review of what took place at the Gold Cup. I know Angus and his staff, as well as the technical department of the TTFA, they're going to review everything that took place over the last month or so. And now the FA will move towards installing a full-time coach. Angus went there as the interim head coach, and now they will review his tenure as well as accept any potential candidates that are interested in the job before they announce whoever is going to be that full-time coach, possibly sometime over the next 2 to 3 months, maybe in September. And of course, we have to start planning ahead. So the normalization committee, which is headed by Robert Haddad, will be looking at opportunities to see how we can continue this momentum. Of course, we do not have the World Cup qualifying campaign to look ahead to. So what you will find happening now is that the top 8 countries in our region, they have qualifying matches to look forward to beginning in September. And these are going to be international windows, which means that we now need to put our house in business in terms of putting it in order for us to ensure that we have consistent international games to continue the development of this team. And of course, it's not just about the men's senior team. We have our youth programs. We have the women's senior team that is also in motion right now. So generally, there's a lot to look forward to, but a lot of work that needs to be done to ensure that Trinidad and Tobago football gets to a level that I think we deserve to be at.
Yeah, and one more before we go. Do you think Angus Seafood would indeed be the permanent coach?
That's not for me to say, but I think he has done sufficient to suggest that he deserves an opportunity to go forward. If you look at the reviews that he's received over the past few weeks, the reviews from the players, and I think he himself, he settled himself well in that position. It's the first time he's been head coach of a national men's senior team without very much time. I think he had 2 to 3 weeks to really prepare the squad, and time will tell whether he's the man for the job. But I think he has done himself a good favor in terms of putting himself up there for the opportunity to serve on a long-term basis.
So, ladies and gentlemen, you have it right here. Sean Fuentes wants Angus Eve to be the head coach right here on M&ETV. Guys, Sean, we just want to thank you so much for spending a little time with us. Wish it could have been a bit longer because you definitely have all the information on the team. You're indeed the communication officer. So we'll chat again soon, coming up when games start back happening and stuff again. We'll have a little chat. So thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, our good friend, Mr. Sean Fuentes, the head media officer of the Trinidad and Tobago football team. Thank you so much, sir.
I appreciate it and all the best to you.